Exercising oversight over the congregation is reinforced in a lot of those central passages that talk about elders and pastors in the New Testament. And exercising oversight really is broad. It's thinking about the whole and how do we oversee what's happening in it. There are probably facets of ministry where it's easier for you to lean in and oversee, and then others where you aren't maybe as you feel as gifted, or might not be your area natural that you'd be naturally inclined to. So what wisdom would you have for a young pastor thinking about, I have to oversee all of this? How should he think about doing that?
Well, we have a clear, we have 1 Peter 5 that it says, shepherd the flock, exercising oversight. So we first want to highlight and affirm what they've already read, and that's that exercising oversight over the whole church is the call of a pastor only, and it is a part of the shepherding of the flock. So having said that, we can't do everything, right? So oversight means we have oversight. We're responsible for everything, but we can't do everything. So I found in the early years of the church, I've heard it being told to me that a pastor is to be a resourceful generalist. Especially when you go into a church, you're maybe the only one. A lot of pastors, the only pastor in a church where there's not a lot of people who can serve. You have to figure out how to do everything and then start to work in the places that you can begin to hand things and delegate. I really think that's what it's about. I think what's being implied there, that everything happens on our watch, but the pastors can't do everything. Certainly a single pastor cannot do everything. And we watch a lot of pastors wear out because they think they have to do everything. So exercising oversight is about making sure things get done. And so pastor has to learn how to administrate and delegate in the right places. And over years, that's where I learned how to do this. As I raised somebody up, I could hand this off, then I had to go over here to this. So recognizing the limitation and handing things off as soon as you can of the areas that you don't need to be able to hang on to. I met a pastor who pastored the same church 40 years. He, till the day he left, turned the lights on and off. And I just remember asking, why did you do that? And his response, I'll never forget, I knew it'd get done right if I did. And I thought, this is what we're not advocating for. We got to be able to delegate. How about you? Because you are at a bigger church, bigger building, bigger facility, and resources than I ever dealt with. How did you think through exercising oversight as shepherding?
Yeah, those principles all apply. Everything you said
regardless
applies.
of the church, right?
Of course,
yeah.
Everything applies.
Yeah.
One thing that you said that is a part of that answer is the idea of being a generalist as opposed to a specialist. So part of my training in ministry was in churches that valued specialists. So you had people who had specific skills and expertise in one area. But if you're going to exercise oversight, you can't have a limited amount of knowledge or understanding of the ministry. You really have to know it all. And so a robust training that gives a young pastor or somebody young in ministry experience across the broad spectrum of the church's ministry is going to equip him later to exercise oversight. And so, in planting a church, before we moved back to Kentucky, we planted a church. And to be in a church planting situation where everything has to get done, whether it's preschool ministry or setting up the chairs, right, and somebody has to do it, and we don't want to turn the lights on for 40 years, but on day one, somebody's got to turn the lights on, right, and that might be my responsibility. And so to really foster that attitude among the staff that we are generalists in the sense that we can be plugged into any situation and execute that ministry. But we do have particular giftings and then also particular passions, and we want to give the bulk of our time to those areas. And the way we do that is we raise up other people to lead in these areas, the other ones. And so that generalist idea, I think, is really important, that the elders understand all of the ministry that's taking place, and they give more of their attention to a certain area, but they have to understand it all.
Yeah, that's really well said, and I've found it helpful to even train the elders around, we're responsible for all this, but let's figure out where you thrive, and let's let you pour your gifts into that. And everybody thrives in that area if we can figure that out. I think that's how it best works.
Right, but if you're going to make really good leadership decisions as a whole group of plurality of elders, you have to understand it thoroughly. Yeah, it's very good.